Alright, so coming in at number 5, it's a game show called Awake. It's on Netflix, and basically there's however many different episodes there are, and a group of individuals, different each episode. So before they hop on stage and complete tasks or challenges, they are kept awake 24 hours prior to that, counting quarters, and they have to keep that number in mind throughout the whole game show. So they don't get to sleep from the time that they are counting from the quarters all the way till the time they get onto stage. So while they're doing these challenges, they are experiencing sleep deprivation, and they start lacking their mobility in. So this leaves them to react at a slower rate, and it kind of lowers their reflexes, like the time that they normally react to something, it obviously lowers. So I enjoy the show just because you get to see like how people act when they are sleep deprived in a way, or they haven't slept in like many hours. And I just like observing people, if that makes sense. So I like to see how they work, how people just work in a group or alone. And I just kind of like game shows to begin with. So it's kind of like Minute to Win It if you want to compare the two, but this one you don't really have a certain amount of time to complete a task. Like all of the challenges, you don't have a certain amount of time for each challenge. Some you do, some you don't. Others, it's just how fast you could finish it, I guess. So if you like game shows and you like challenges, this would be the show for you. So with that being said, let's go see what he has at his 5th place.
Coming in at number 5 is going to be Immigration Nation. It's on Netflix. It's a docuseries. Obviously by the name, it's about immigration, specifically ICE and immigrants' stories. So a lot of it deals within like the ICE facility, I think it is, or I'm not sure, but it deals with their day-to-day and their interactions and stuff with people that are here that got to get deported, or they're trying to figure out if they can stay, and all those different type of things, right? So I enjoyed it a lot because of the insight you see with these different people that are either trying to get a green card or whatever the case is. I enjoyed hearing their stories, because it's just crazy, and a lot of people don't understand why people come here, or they get it, but they don't fully get it, because obviously people are coming here for a lot of different reasons, but most of the time it's for a better life, for their family. So this thing touched on a lot of that, and I just personally really enjoyed it. That was a really good docuseries in my opinion, and again, it's called Immigration Nation. It was on Netflix.
So coming in at my number 4, it is like a reality show, not in the sense you think though. So it's called Skin Decision. It's on Netflix. So on this show, in this series, individuals go to these 2 experts about the issues that they have with their body, whether they were put through a traumatic experience or whether they just don't like how they look. And they have treatments that are uninvasive, I guess you could put it, where they don't think of going under the knife as the very first option. They like to weigh out their options and see what's best for the individual and what is better, I guess you could say. So I liked this show just because you get to see somebody in the beginning before their change of body and afterwards, because you get to see them fall in love with themselves, basically, because you just see how happy they are and how grateful they are that the surgery turned out exactly how they wanted it to, and that they can live the rest of their life being pretty much happy. So I will give you a disclaimer about the show. It does bring you along the surgery process, if you want to say surgery, because to me surgery is cutting, but not all of these involve cutting. But when it does, it is very graphic. So you might want to be careful when watching the show, or at least skip ahead, or just try not to look, because you do see blood and fat tissue. So if you get kind of disgusted or uneasy about sights of that, this might not be the show for you unless you look away or try and skip ahead.
All right, coming in at number 4, it's going to be Boys State from Apple TV+. It's a documentary again. This one's not a docuseries though. It's just a full-length documentary. But this one is something I never knew even existed. I did not know this was even a thing. basically kids from Texas, or I don't know if it's just from Texas, but I think it's held in Texas. These kids, they go and they learn, about the political world. And, they learn more about the political world by actually living it. They get to run and organize themselves in different parties. And yeah, it's actually really cool. It's really interesting because, like I said, I never knew anything about it. Yeah, just seeing them like running for certain things and telling them policies that they would want and this and that. And I don't know, it was just really interesting. I feel like this is a good way to get people, into politics, kids and stuff that want to and want to pursue that. I think this is really cool. Hopefully these kids become decent people in life and do run and get somewhere with it. But yeah, this is really interesting. It wasn't that long. The only downfall was not a downfall for the actual documentary, but it was just the results. I wanted my boy, I forget his name now, but I wanted him to win. He didn't, but it's all good. But yeah, this documentary was really good. I recommend it. I'm not the biggest person that's into politics all crazy, but this was still really good and really interesting. So I recommend it to anybody, like even if you're not into politics or anything like that.
So coming in at my number 3, it's a movie. It's called Fatal Affair and it's on Netflix. So in this movie, the main character is a lawyer, and while she's working at her firm, an old friend, or they went to college together, he shows up and gets a job at the law firm that she's at. But little does he know that she is leaving the law firm to start her own practice. It all starts when he asks her to go out to have drinks, and she initially invites her friend as well. And she initially invited him to come out with her and her friend, but her friend canceled, so it leaves them with just them two. And it kind of escalates into something a little more, but she cuts it off. Not right away, but before anything more happens. And he doesn't like taking no for an answer, and he gets very obsessed with her to the point of that saying, "I will kill for you." It kind of turned into that. So I feel like I've seen films along the lines of this before, so it's not very original, but I did enjoy watching this just because I don't like or enjoy these types of movies, but they catch my attention, if that makes sense. So yes, it's like other movies, but it's not really repetitive. Like I feel like you're not gonna constantly think like, oh, this is like that movie or that movie, because it does have its own characteristics that makes it its own film, and for that, that's what I liked about it. And I feel like normally you don't see the guy that's obsessed with the main character. I feel like normally you don't see the obsessor or the stalker really involving himself with like the person that they're stalking's husband, and with this you see that. So he tries to get close with her husband, and he doesn't know anything that's going on between both of them or anything that has happened between both of them when they went out for drinks. So I do highly recommend this film if you're into the stalker movies, or if you're even into Lifetime movies, because I feel like this is kind of a movie that would belong on Lifetime. But that's just my opinion. I don't know if anybody else who has seen this would agree with me. But yeah, you should go check this one out.
All right, coming in number 3, we are continuing with Apple TV Plus with Little Voice. It's a comedy drama series with only 1 season on Apple TV Plus, and it stars Brittany O'Grady as Bess King. She's the main character, and basically she wants to be a singer, and that's what she's just striving to be. It's a good show. It's kind of like a teen show, honestly, though. But there's nothing wrong with that. But there's certain parts or certain things that for me was just like, I don't really know, or like I don't know. It could have been done a little different, but there's also a romantic side to this show, and I feel like a little bit was a little too much. It kind of focused on that a little too much for me, but overall it was really good. I enjoyed it. It's just one of those things where I didn't love it, and I don't have like a million great things to say about it, but I enjoyed watching it. Like every time I enjoyed it, it was just like, I don't know, it was just good, and it was good music with it, so that helped. And yeah, one thing that did bother me though was her brother in the show. I just feel like a lot of stereotypes were thrown there, and I don't know, it just seemed a little weird. But either way though, this was an interesting show. It was pretty good in my opinion, and I enjoyed watching it. And I think at the end of the day, that's what matters. If I can't think of a lot of things to say about it, but at the end of the day, my enjoyment, it was there. So that comes in number 3, Apple TV Plus. It's called Little Voice.
So coming in at my number 2 is Selena and Chef. It's on HBO Max. This one I love because it's just so funny. It's a twist on the whole cooking show. So you have Selena Gomez and a guest chef, whichever one is on that episode. And if you watch our other channel, our Piece of Us Vlogs channel, you would see that we tried to recreate one of the recipes, one of the ramens, miso ramen. So if you want to go see how that turned out, click the link down in the description or wherever it pops up here if you want to go check that out. But anyways, I love this show just because I think it's hilarious. I was cracking up on the first episode. He thought I was crazy because he's like, it's not that funny. But yeah, I just love this one so much. So like I said, it's a twist on the whole cooking show because you have a celebrity who doesn't know how to cook at all and a chef who is teaching her how to cook essentially. So they put together a whole meal or recipe, like a dish, and they give her all the ingredients she needs and she just has to follow the chef's instructions, like boil this, put this in there for this long, and cut this up. Basically a cooking show. It's just so funny because she's like a klutz, I guess you could say, Selena, because she is so dangerous when she has a knife, and it makes me uncomfortable when she has a knife in her hand, and I'm sitting on the other side of the screen. I'm not in the kitchen with her. I'm just observing her and watching her. But they do make a few good recipes. So if you want a good laugh and you're into cooking shows and you want to learn a new recipe or anything like that, this would be the show for you. So go ahead and check that out.
All right, coming in at number 2 is going to be Babies. It's a documentary or a docuseries on Netflix. And as the title suggests, it's all about babies and their growth and stuff like that. So I actually didn't watch the whole thing because I didn't know it was a 2-part series, or I don't know there's 2 parts to the series. The first part, there's 6 episodes, and the second part, there's 6 episodes. So I only watched the first 6, but it's really interesting. Like, again, I love anything about the brain and stuff like that, and babies are super interesting, obviously, because they come into this world knowing nothing really about this world. It's just crazy how they can get shaped and molded or whatever, and just the things that they're into and how their brain works. And yeah, so it was super interesting. It's a lot of just about, you know, the psychology of babies growing and stuff. But yeah, that docuseries was just really good. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed everything about it. I'm actually really interested to see the next 6 episodes because, again, I didn't know there was 6. For some reason, I feel like when I watched the last one of part 1, it stopped. But I'll be checking that out. But that still comes in at number 2 because I got enough from it for it to be that high, in my opinion. But yeah, that's Babies on Netflix.
So last but not least, my number 1. It is called The Lost Husband, and yet again, it's on Netflix. If you couldn't tell, I have a thing of Netflix. I loved this movie. Loved it. Just because it's based in like a small town or on a farm, and I just really enjoy movies or shows based in that environment. So that kind of puts me at a bias, but I still think it was a good movie overall. It's about this woman who has 2 children and is recently widowed because her husband has died, and she goes to, I believe it's her aunt. I think she stays with her aunt on a goat farm, and a little into the movie, a male figure works on the farm as well. And I was kind of rooting, even though she is a widow, I was kind of rooting for her to get with the guy because I just thought they were kind of cute together. And I'm not going to tell you if they did or not. You should go watch the movie and see for yourself because it's worth a watch. But basically what he does is he works on the farm as well, and he shows her like the ins and outs of it because her aunt wants her to work on the farm instead of just living there doing nothing. So there's not really that much to say about this movie, but it's a good one. It's a good one to go watch. I'm not going to promise this because everybody is entitled to their own opinion, but I don't think you will waste your time by watching this movie. I really don't, but that's just me. So yeah, let's go see what Matt has at his number 1.
All right, coming in at number 1 is going to be the movie Host. I believe it's a Shudder original. This movie is really good. I absolutely love this movie. I thought it was just super good. I thought it was really good. So what it's about is basically it's taken during this time of coronavirus pandemic, and so these girls, friends, are social distancing and they're on Zoom, and what they're trying to do is talk to dead people or whatever through like a medium, and yeah, things go from there. It's a horror movie, and it's a little bit like Paranormal Activity-ish, but I just thought it was really creative the way they did it, and I thought the acting was incredible from all of them, from all the girls that were. I mean, even the one guy in the film. There's only like one guy in the whole film because the movie literally takes place on a Zoom meeting. So they're just on a Zoom meeting the whole time. But yeah, this film was really good. One of my favorite of the year for sure. So that has to hit the #1 spot for me. But once again though, that is Host on Shudder. All right, so now that we're done giving our top 5s for the month, we will now be adding them to our totals for the whole year.
All right, so before August, my Apple was at 2 and it continues to stay at 2. Netflix was at 12 and it bumped up to 16. Hulu is at 3 and continues to stay at 3. HBO Max was at 1, added 1 now. That leads us to be at 2. And Quibi remains at 1.
You have 4 Netflix?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And I think I'm just going to take off Quibi because I don't use Quibi anymore.
All right, and for me, we have Apple TV Plus, that was at 5. Now it's at 7. Netflix was at 6. We added 2 more to that as well, so that's now at 8. Hulu remains the same at 4. HBO Max remains the same at 1. And since we don't use Shudder, or Shudder doesn't really have a chance to win this thing, so we're not going to add that in there, but Shudder did have 1. But yeah, so as you can see, Netflix is still in the lead for her. Netflix is still in the lead for me by 1. It's closer though. Hers is kind of starting to blow out everything else. But anyways, that's gonna be it for the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like. We appreciate it. Subscribe if you haven't already. Comment down below your favorite things you guys have seen in the last month. Maybe we haven't seen them and we'd be interested in watching them. Either way though, my name's Matt.
My name's Nicole.
And we'll catch you next time.